What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Magnetic Discovery for the donation to the channel via the PayPal. He had a question. He says, which fans are worse, Otani or LeBron? Otani fans are extreme, and they say GOAT, no exceptions, and they make the same 3 to 4 arguments, and after you make your case, they eventually go away. With LeBron, his career and longevity is solid, but they have 100 ways to argue and shift. Well, look, man. Look, both fan bases are annoying. But I think that's going to be the case for any new fan base, especially particularly young fan base that pops up today. And I think it's just symptomatic of the lack of the lack of historical perspective, the lack of respect for elders and things that have been done in the past. You could even argue some of it is our fault culturally, because when you look at our culture, it's youth obsessed. When I was younger, our culture was not so youth obsessed, meaning that the people who were featured prominently in our culture, the so-called stars, they were a little older. They were like more in their late 20s, 30s, and 40s. Now, I sometimes look at TMZ and it'll say, a little segment that'll say good genes or good docs, like whether they have good genetics or whether it's doctors and plastic surgeon. The before and after was one where the person was 17 and 27. That's how bad it's getting. You know what I'm saying? So you have recency bias. You have a whole media machine that is totally devoted to catering to these people, man. So that's what happens. Propaganda gets put out there. You have a couple people in the media who just say this person might be this, that, and the other. Just flippantly skipping past all these other people. They don't have to have a debate about the other 100 great players. They just automatically get pushed to the front. And that's what happens. Now, because Shohei Ohtani has just started, I would say, the last 3 or 4 years, maybe reaching this ascendancy, maybe 5 years, I forget how long it's been now. LeBron's been at this for so long now. I mean, just from a historical perspective, just looking at this question, I have to say LeBron fans are worse because they've done so much damage over the last several years. They've caused so much mayhem. It's to the point where they have no respect for the sport. They only care about the pushing and the promotion of LeBron being the king and the GOAT, and that's it. That's their only singular focus. They don't care about the sport of basketball. They don't care about the Lakers. Case in point, the Lakers lost to the Hawks last night badly, right? And instead of that being a critique of JJ Redneck, because he should have had no business losing that game, and Luka Doncic not playing well, they're trolling our channels. Oh, well, why don't you say something about that? Because they're not really Laker fans. They want the Lakers to lose so badly because their king's not playing. Now, having said all of that, Shohei Ohtani fans, for what I've seen, a little bit I have seen with them, because I don't follow baseball like I do basketball, but from what I've seen, they have all of the elements that I just named, plus they throw in the race card. Now, we've seen a little bit of this with Jeremy Lin many years ago, 2012, I think it was, 2013. We saw a little bit of this with Jeremy Lin. when he was with the New York Knicks, and he started off playing red hot. And, you had comparisons to Michael Jordan, which was ridiculous. But if we said that in videos, we were somehow called racist. And Shohei Ohtani, some of his fans, a lot of his fans, will call you racist if you don't agree that Shohei Ohtani is the greatest player ever, especially if you're black, which I don't get. The only thing I can think of is a lot of these people are projecting their own racism toward you. Because I don't think Shohei Ohtani is the greatest player of all time, it has nothing to do with his racial background. But we saw a little bit of this with Pacquiao and his fan base. If you just happen to say, well, I don't know if he's as good as Floyd Mayweather, I don't know about him being the greatest, they would cuss you out, call you racial epithets, and then call you a racist at the same time. Unbelievable. I remember I used to try to have conversations with some of these, those fans, man, and they were just so angry. Now, I get it a little bit because of their culture and where they come from. And when you do a little research about the Philippines and some of the things that go on in that country with the women and how there's some other things going on in that country that I don't want to go into specifics with, and what Manny Pacquiao represents to them. He's like their Superman, literally. He's like Superman there. So they worship him. But that's what happens when you have these cults. And it's not a good thing, man. Especially an athlete. You should never worship an athlete. Admire them, yes. Worship, no. When you look at Shohei Ohtani, great player. But there are some things you can criticize. Number one, and someone brought an interesting point. He puts up great numbers during the regular season, unbelievable numbers. But some of his postseason numbers, except for in certain games where he has come in clutch, make no mistake about it, but the consistency is not there. The batting average is pretty poor. There's some games where he whiffs and looks terrible. And you have to ask yourself, does Shohei Ohtani consistently lift his ball clubs? Does he consistently come through in the clutch and lift and elevates his teams? As much as I sometimes look at a David Ortiz with suspicion, he consistently lifted his teams in key moments. And while Shohei Ohtani is unique in that he's an elite pitcher and a great hitter, he hasn't done it long enough, numbers-wise. 280 home runs, less than 700 career RBI. No, you can't be the GOAT with those numbers. You got to hit at least. You got to get at least, man. If you want to consider one of the great power hitters, man, at least getting into the 450, 500 home run, 13, 1,400 RBIs, man. And that's still kind of low compared to some of the other all-time greats. He has to have multiple seasons of doing these types of feats, Same thing with Aaron Judge. I think he still needs another couple of seasons for him to be comparable or being compared to some of the all-time great hitters. I think we smash the gas too fast. We make these types of pronouncements. And also, unlike Babe Ruth, who was a great hitter, career and pitcher, I think his career pitching win-loss total was 94 and 46. Phenomenal, right? But he stopped pitching. He was 24? So if you look at his career trajectory, he probably would have wound up with 250, 300 pitching wins. He had very, very low ERA. Otani only has 39 regular season pitching victories. So, and unlike Babe Ruth, Ohtani doesn't play in the field. He's a designated hitter. So Ruth not only was a great pitcher, he was an all-time God level hitter, and from what I understand, at least a respectable fielder. So, there's some things there that you got to look at. You know what I'm saying? And his fan base, Otani's fan base, just don't want to hear some of those things, man. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.